Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to sort of take on or address the feeling of awkwardness, sort of social awkwardness or social anxiety, after you've been in a relationship for some time with a malignant narcissist or a covert narcissist, and sort of what's going on and how do you heal through this awkwardness, this maybe even what I think contributes to post-traumatic stress syndrome or complex PTSD, where people are sort of startled and sort of anxious and they don't really feel oftentimes in control. So they become very avoidant of situations, people, places, and events so as to avoid the trigger. So then they become effectively very self-limiting. And, some degree of knowing your limitations or your boundaries is important. But when it has sort of caused you to feel estrangement or sort of that you don't feel comfortable because of a relationship with a malignant narcissist as a result of maybe the deception, pathological lying, the fact that maybe you gave or over obligated. So that's sort of the question. And so before we begin, though, I just want to give a huge shout out to those people who have been sending their well wishes and prayers during this difficult time. And thank you so much for your viewership. Once again, if this channel has been a benefit to you or helpful, please feel free to subscribe, comment, and donate. All is very much welcomed and appreciated. So we do have that on the About page here at the Peace and Harmony. So thank you so much. And also viewers, so please feel free to do that and give back to the channel if this has been rewarding for you. And the other question I think was about the okay, so then just sort of going back. So yes, so and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me for future video topics in the comment section or what have you. So when it comes to sort of that awkwardness, you could probably equate that to a sensitivity or maybe a fear that has been set up within you, something that you have learned, been programmed, and then unconsciously reinforced. Like, in other words, you weren't able to consciously or mindfully address it using the cognitive tools of metacognition, the ability to think about what you're thinking about. So, and sort of enacting that area of your personality or of who you are, so that you can kind of see what is going on and you're able to see it and then filter it out or sift it out and not feel uncomfortable because of some adverse reaction or adverse sort of depleted, depletion of support, sort of a lack of that you see in a malignant narcissist really can be attributed to that lack of empathy and a sort of a pathological sense of self-importance. And oftentimes they don't feel wrong, guilty for how they mistreat others, usually which is then really hurt by a transgression of your boundaries and your standards. So I'm just trying to keep it real simple here. So that awkwardness, if you understand the cause that creates the effect, usually it's because you feel that they had sort of gotten you where you are vulnerable, your weak spot, your Achilles heel. They got you behind the knees or wherever it is, where it hurts or where you're vulnerable or where you were not self-protected or self-protecting actively. So then people then subconsciously and actively then begin, to push away and reject any sort of situation that would be in alignment with their goodness or their, feeling of I am that is defined around a positive rather than a negative. So usually if you're around a relationship with a malignant narcissist, there's going to be a lot of criticism. There's going to be a lot of judgment. There's going to be even a lot of maybe, sarcasm or, making fun of you. And oftentimes making fun of you, not only your physical appearance, but for other things like your desires, wishes, or needs. And so then you have been sort of gaslighted or ridiculed for your own I am, your own natural flow, your spontaneity, the playfulness, that goodness, that wholesomeness, where you're just feeling good. Like you might have felt when you're with somebody and you didn't have a care or worry in the world. So that sort of feeling oftentimes is then not experienced very often or frequently, if at all, if you have been sort of hurt by a relationship with a malignant narcissist. So because of a violation of your boundaries and standards, so it sort of corrodes your I am. It begins to solidify a negation of that. So it's solidifying a negation. In other words, meaning, you are not lovable. You are not smart. You are not getting attention right now. You are not smart. You are not, so oftentimes because of a relationship with a narcissist, they need this asymmetry. They need their ego to be dominating. They need for them to be receiving all the attention and whatever it is, oftentimes on a very glib or superficial nature, or really sort of trying to attract the attention of others for the attainment of this goal. In other words, part of the dynamic might be that the narcissist has sort of, ganged up or has a lot of other supply on their side, and nobody sort of sees where you're coming from. You then sort of, it becomes like a private prison, a private hell, a private sort of undesirable place, because you have been treated as if you are undesirable. Your needs, your very thoughts, your presence, your being, whatever whatever it is, it's usually an existential level, meaning where you exist. So you can look that up and what that means for you on Google. But when you're talking really then, so it's important, I feel, to understand the cause that creates this effect within you, because you, the cause is not you. You are not negative. You are not a big problem. You are not all these, different labels or conflict or different, whatever all the labels, so that you're oftentimes living by. I consider this sort of a negative self-bias. In other words, you're sort of defining yourself by a lack, and you never feel that you're good enough, and you can never fill up that void. It just sort of, it just becomes an incessant abyss, if you will. So the emotional discomfort never gets resolved. It never gets taken care of. It never goes away then if you aren't aware of the cause that creates this effect of the social anxiety. And it's usually because there were certain times where you were actually belonging, fitting in, and then you were taught that you cannot for some reason, and then that very belonging was denied you. And so this will cause people to feel very alone or lonely, sort of being excluded. You're, sort of kicked out, and then they sort of made sure that you understood this. The narcissist, I would say, they really try to hit home the fact that others are not, and whatever, not enough. You can't tell a good enough story. You can't tell a good enough joke. You can't make a good enough chicken. You can't make a bed the right way. You don't know how to pour cereal. You don't know how to boil water. I mean, it becomes almost laughable, to which the expectations are so high, yet you're not even getting in return. So oftentimes it's unattainable. The fantasy level, the grandiosity, the expectations, or the judgment that the narcissist is sort of putting out there, or extolling, sort of putting out there. And so people always feel that they're falling short no matter what. And then when things get good, oh, maybe it'll be good. And then next thing you know, you've given your all. In fact, you've never even given it so much. And then you fall even lower. And then it's just why does this keep happening? And then people get confused. It's because you're just, you're keeping the cycle going. You're reinforcing this this negative state within yourself, subconsciously, unconsciously. So you have to become mindful and aware through the role of metacognition to see the cause that creates this effect. namely the awkwardness and the anxiety because you were reflected to be back and then sort of go away. Usually, I would say it's a narcissistic way for them to say, go away. I don't need you now, but I'll sure call you when I need you. So it becomes a power play. And then people become almost, trained like a golden retriever to go get the mail, go get my socks, go get the beer from the fridge and open it with your paws. And, instead of getting a treat, they're just like, and, what else do you have for me? So it's kind of like people are trained to be in this fashion and in this nature. And so that might have gone well or satisfactory for some time. So that was then perpetuated. You didn't see the true colors as of yet. You didn't see where the outcome was. You didn't see how controlling this situation was. You didn't see how uninhabitable it was becoming for you. A viewer said you begin to see things through sort of beer goggles, I think is their explanation, which is a great analogy, but you begin to see things through sort of people-pleasing glasses or something that is just unique to that individual or that setting, which then will result in if you don't get something from them, a reaction, a high five, a whatever, then it puts you on shaky ground. And oftentimes then it's that existential shaky ground. I might not make it. They might not love me. I can't handle the fact that they will do this and that. I can't handle the fact that they're not loving me. I can't handle the fact that they might be with somebody else or that they're going to treat somebody better than me. And I just, so they have people that are jumping to a lot of conclusions that will lead to this awkwardness, this anxiety. So it's like you're plugging yourself in to the anxiety wall switch. You're just like, so unplug. Begin to learn to manage this anxiety. And we did have a viewer who put on some comments about a lot of different essential oils and things that they have used. And that's awesome because I definitely believe in sort of rehabilitating the senses and getting control over these and sort of an alignment of these with your values. So there's not a gap between who you are and who you want to be and where you're going. So usually after a narcissist relationship, you might feel you really fell flat on your face, on your tushy, your rumpus, whatever it is, your heart broke, you're tossed to the curb, whatever it is, how you feel, deceived, betrayed, cheated, all these horrible feelings. It can be very, very demoralizing, and it can be very it can cause you to feel very low. The word that I can't think of right now, but is just very low about yourself or what, because oftentimes people have them built up or some sort of fantasy buildup with this person. And then when that vision is taken away, it can create a lot of that awkwardness. You don't feel that maybe you're out of balance, you're shaky. And the sort of negativity cause people like a derision or just sort of they feel almost maybe a disgust at themselves that they couldn't please this person. All these different self-talks which will contribute to a social anxiety, basically feeling that you will be rejected and you won't be able to handle it. So in other words, the social anxiety is kind of like a replay of the breakup all over again. It's almost like, what do you call a rerun? When you would watch a rerun show, and, now we have all sorts of different things, but it's kind of like the social anxiety is like you feel that you're just tuning into a rerun of what an episode of your life that you've already seen before. And, just like you might watch a rerun of a great show that you grew up with and still love it, part of you might still be really attached to this negative story that you have playing. And so it's not giving you a positive sense of self. It's then actively blocking your sense of security and safety, your sense of that everything is okay and that you're fine. and that you're okay. So that existential place is what I'm talking about. So people then have had then reflected back to them, usually through statements, harsh words or whatever, that they are not. So then you're just replaying this. You have to break this cycle and realize that it's oftentimes because you feel that you cannot manage it again, just because you couldn't feel that you had any control over the first situation with a narcissist that broke your heart or violated you. So people, I think they're on that automatic subconscious in the limbic brain, that they're feeling that that's just going to repeat again, and so they're not attracted, and then they don't attract the healthy because they're still sort of replaying that rerun subconsciously. And so that's what's going on, and will lead to that sort of feeling that that this might happen again, and you might not be able to handle it. Do the right thing, know how to regulate it, know how to manage it, what to do. So part of you is afraid that you don't have the skills, or that you're not healed, or that you don't have dominion or the authority to say no when you mean no. So there's a lot of really important changes that you can make to help you to feel social confidence. And we will definitely get to these in the next video. I think it's a great question. And I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.